And now we got Camron again. This time, Camron is talking about a situation in which he almost got into an altercation with Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, one of my favorite NBA players. And not because of how good he is as a basketball player. And of course, I mean that sarcastically.
Mm-hmm.
But Cameron was recently on an episode of his show with Mase. It is what it is, and he was talking about how recently in Los Angeles, when the Nets were playing the Lakers, there was almost a run-in involving someone who he has openly criticized loudly, Ben Simmons. So this here says Cameron almost fought Ben Simmons at NBA game. I forgot he played basketball. Cameron has revealed he almost got into a scuffle with Ben Simmons at a recent NBA game, and he wasn't prepared to fight fair. The Dipset rapper has been a vocal critic of the Australian point guard over the years regarding his place on the Brooklyn Nets roster. During the latest episode of his and Mace's sports show, It Is What It Is, Killer Cam detailed his tense run-in with Simmons at last week's Los Angeles Lakers and Brooklyn Nets game at the Crypto.com arena. So it goes into quotes about what Cam was saying, but we won't, use those quotes. We'll go ahead and play what Cam actually said here. So here is Camron describing how there was almost a dust up with Ben Simmons during a Lakers game, and shouts out to OJ Simpson, who was just
randomly like, oh, that's great, man.
Hey, yo, Killer, I wanted to ask you something before we go forward. They said you was at the game. What happened? Did Ben Simmons run down on you? Talking about light-skinned niggas.
That's funny, yo, man.
In Australia, I got a call. They say, yo, Kim like Ben Simmons.
No, he's from Australia, right? Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Niggas reached out. Nah, so the game is over. So I was at the Laker game. The game was over. And shout out to my man Jeremy over there at UTA. He had to go to the Sundance Awards Film Festival. So he gave me his tickets. So after the game is over, shout out to LeBron too. I seen Brian, Rich Paul. Shout out to the crew. Dennis Smith Jr. and the rest of the boys. I seen them in there too. And Ben Simmons didn't even play. I forgot Ben Simmons plays basketball. I was bugging. I was like, damn, this nigga's still in the NBA. I was kind of bugging off the shit. I forgot that word to mother. Like, Ben Simmons play. I forgot this nigga plays basketball. More of the story is the game is over, and I'm walking towards him. So you know how you going towards the locker room, like VIP entrance? And he's standing there, and I'm trying to get through the shit, and I'm like, he's looking at me, and I'm like, I don't want to have an ice grill contest with Ben Simmons because it's just stupid. You know what I'm saying? So he's looking, so I'm looking at him, he's looking at me. Now I'm looking like, this isn't going to go good because I'm going to go crazy, my nigga. Like, it's too many cameras around. That Draymond footage on Jordan Poole, never. Before you get that, loose chair's going to be flying. I'm going to go straight for your knees or type of shit. So he looks and comes my way and just walks past me. And I'm like, why would you play these games with me, yo? Just say, if you don't like what I say, I'd rather a nigga just be like, yo, Cam, I wasn't feeling that shit. You don't understand. I'm really hurt. I'm really going through something. Those ain't the games to play and live in New York at the same time. They just not, and that's not a threat. I'm just saying. That's the wrong games. I buy all the seats, buy every damn ticket behind the Nets fucking bench. Stop playing games, B. I just got back in. I wouldn't fuck up my homie Jeremy's tickets. I would, because that's the next thing, murder. Cam went in there and wowed out. Now you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Yeah. Niggas. Niggas. So, listen, Ben Simmons, in case we see each other again, just say that you don't like what I'm saying so I can say I don't give a fuck. And then we can keep it moving. All these eye games, that's not it, B. Not especially when you're 6'10". I'm going for your knees, paws, and then I'm buying season tickets to the next game. That's that. That's what happened, murder. It wasn't really a long story. Jacob was there. Shout out to Jacob York. Jacob was.
These guys have a history. We actually did a video. I want to say it was last year. Was it last year or the year before? Where Cam was just going off. He's a Brooklyn Nets fan, a hardcore Brooklyn Nets fan. And this was back when they were going through that whole it was the sideshow of Kevin Durant, James Harden, Ben Simmons, and Kyrie Irving. And they never played together. And well, no, not Ben Simmons, not James Harden wasn't there. It was Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant before they traded with Philly to get Ben Simmons in Brooklyn. Before they traded James Harden to Philly to get Ben Simmons in Brooklyn, or this was after that, rather. So after they made that trade,
right,
and we could never get them on the court because Ben Simmons claimed that he had mental health problems and was just not playing basketball, and Kyrie and or Kevin Durant was always hurt, and Camron was just going off because the team was not winning games, and he was frustrated because Ben Simmons just showed a complete and utter apathy with respect to actually playing in the game on some mental health stuff. So there's some history there between those two, and so I guess a lot of that stuff was kind of a carryover from that. But what were your interpretations of what Cam described there, this almost incident between him and Ben Simmons at the Laker game?
I mean, it sounds like a Ben Simmons move. When I heard the story, it sounded like something that Ben Simmons would do. I mean, this guy, he's not about any action. I mean, I don't even last time he played a game. So he's clearly about no action at all. And especially when it comes to, fisticuffs, I don't think he wants any part of that. So I think he was just mad at Cam, and just being upset, brewing and stewing. And, oh, there he goes. There goes that bastard. I'm going to just let him know by just making eye contact with him that I don't mess with him like that. Then, he rolled up on him and then, just did his typical, like he in some movie, staring down a bully and then, just casually walking by him. And it's like, bro, like this is real life. And you're dealing with somebody who's clearly, clearly a unique individual that, like he said, it could have got kind of rowdy in there. I believe Cam would take it there if somebody pushed them. But of course, Ben Simmons would never. And that's what makes this story sound so credible, because it sounds like that's exactly what Ben Simmons would do. And it kind of sounds like, Cam, having the wherewithal, I guess being seasoned as a person, just saw all the various components, how this could play out in the wrong, and just kept it pushing. But I felt like he handled that moment, if the reports are true, with grace. And I felt like he handled this on his show. It's in a funny way, but he ain't really turn up on bro as we know he could have. So I felt like all was well handled by Cam. So what are your thoughts on Ben Simmons running down on Camron? I don't know, just for mental health reasons, I guess.
I'm currently looking up how many games Ben Simmons has played this season. Wow. So
6.
were you aware Ben Simmons has only played 6 games?
Oh boy, I nailed it. Ding, ding, ding. I lost my guess. I said 6.
Wow.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, I'm with Cam.
He quit, bro. Like he quit.
I'm with Cam. And the tragedy. Here's the tragedy of Ben Simmons. I'm not even going to opine on the dust up, because I agree with everything that you said. Ben Simmons is not about that life. He don't want no smoke. He's a part of the new human generation that handles everything passive aggressively. He took a page out of LeBron's book.
Yeah, that was LeBron.
He did a LeBron move. He looked and stared, didn't say anything, walked past him, and I wouldn't be shocked if a week from now Ben Simmons put out some cryptic Instagram post or some cryptic thing on Twitter or X or whatever the hell you want to call it, similar to what LeBron likes to do, very passive aggressive. So Ben Simmons took a page out of LeBron book. He's a new human, whatever, with the dust up. But the tragedy of Ben Simmons. Okay, so what's going on with him? Like, I'm literally asking you this on the fly. Like, why has he only played 6 games? Is he hurt? Is he injured?
He's hurt, allegedly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first, he has mental health. So first, he's 100% healthy, but basically stops playing basketball because the fans in Philly are getting on him because he sees ghosts on the court, scared to shoot, scared to take shots. So it causes him to sort of regress inward, and he shuts down. And as a result, he's going through mental anguish, and he quits. He quits. I don't know what other way to describe it. He stopped playing basketball. Then he gets traded to the Nets for James Harden. And while he's on the Nets, he doesn't play because of mental health. And then when his mental health is apparently better, his back is messed up and he still can't play. This was last year. So now we're into this year. He's played 6 games. I'm like Cam. I didn't even realize he only played 6 games because the dude as a basketball player to me is out of sight, out of mind. Didn't even realize that he's a part of the league still. This dude is a number 1 overall pick. Number 1 overall pick. The tragedy of Ben Simmons is his behavior as someone who doesn't seem to be made of the stuff where you have to confront challenges in the world, which is what is a part of being a human. Like, I'm not saying you have to be willing to be confronted with bullying. Like, if you're getting treated harshly and people are on you and things are going rough, I'm not saying that that's okay. But there is a general part of living life as a human being in which we all have to be able to withstand the rigors of life. You have to be willing to confront life's challenges. You can't just turn inward and then say that you can't handle this and you have mental health challenges. And that's what Ben Simmons did. And the thing about it is, when he did it, the tragedy, why I keep using the word tragedy, is there was no one around him, nor was there anyone in the media who was saying, hey, bro, maybe you could stand a little toughening up to confront some of these things. It isn't always the world going against you. Now, you might be dealing with some tough times, sure, but otherwise, the world isn't against you, bro. The world has nothing against Ben Simmons. Where is the world at large trying to tear Ben Simmons down? That isn't happening. That's a fabrication. But clearly, in his mind, I feel as though he sort of constructed this thing in his mind where he was like, the world is against me, so I'm quitting. I'm gonna quit. And I think that rubs the wrong way people like Camron, who look at the world and say, hey man, life's tough. You got to deal with that. Deal with the toughness of life, the rigors of life. Man, woman, child, old person, it doesn't matter. You got to be willing to step outside and confront that. You're making like $150, $60 million guaranteed as a part of your contract. How difficult is your life really? And I know that just because you're rich, it doesn't mean that you are devoid of the problems of life. I get that. Just because you're rich doesn't mean that you don't have problems in life. But it also means that you need to maintain some perspective. And Ben Simmons, to me, clearly is an individual who is devoid of perspective. And I think that people who do have some perspective, even people who can be as flamboyant as Camron, look at that as weakness, and I'm inclined to agree. So the dust up is whatever. I don't care about that. Ben Simmons, to me, is a tragedy. He's a tragedy because he was massaged by this weirdo leftist society, which wants to never take accountability personally for where people are in life. It's always other things going on. Traumas, trials and tribulations, mental health. Look, I got nothing against mental health, but this is a kid who's making $200 million and he just decided to quit basketball because the fans were getting on him because he's scared to shoot in a basketball game. Like, that's the record of events. Am I wrong? Am I wrong with any of that?
That's pretty much the timeline.
So I'm just like, hey man, listen. I know I sound like an old school meathead guy here, but like, man up, take some responsibility. Take some responsibility. And he just looks to me like an individual who has difficulty accepting responsibility. And he also looks like someone who is an individual who does not know how to maintain proper perspective. And I think when you can't maintain perspective and you can't take responsibility, you'll be someone who can be a number one overall pick with all the talent in the world, and you'll cash in on your first payday, but otherwise flame out as completely untapped potential.
Yeah, and yeah, to speak on his injury stuff, because I play fantasy stuff, so um, I forgot he was on a team too. I saw something a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like they got Ben Simmons, but then it's like, "Oh man, that's crazy from an organization perspective, crazy from a fan perspective, because there's so much stock in him. There's so much invested in him, because literally the roster that they're just running out there on the court right now isn't at full strength because he's always gone. And this is not even if he wasn't playing, they could have used that money and whatever to allocate towards whatever to contribute towards that team. So me being a Brooklyn Nets fan, if I'm Cam, I'd be tired of his shenanigans too, because it literally makes no sense. So yeah, I gave up on him last year, bro. Last year, I think in that video last year, I was cutting them slack, and I was like, "Hey, man, give him a chance." Whoop de whoop. These young people gotta grow up or whatever. And it just looked like he got used to being on injured reserve.
Yeah.
And he's just going, "Well, I gotta go back out there." Yeah. And I just think he got used to it. He found out how he can keep sliding. The season ain't really worth it anyway. Do I really have to go out there? And I think he's doing that. He wouldn't dare do that if he didn't have all that guaranteed money, though. So, yeah, man, he's just one of those guys out there that's just making it worse for all the other guaranteed money people out there that want to live in the future. It's just a tragic situation, unfortunate. But yeah, man, again, Cam is hilarious, and I feel as though he handled that the dust up, if you will, as you mentioned. I feel like he handled it well, and Ben needs to get well. But I've given up on him as a basketball player. I just can't. I'm not looking forward to it anymore.
Yeah. It says nerve impingement. Simmons hasn't played since November 6th due to a nerve impingement in his back. So apparently this issue with his back is chronic. Apparently, but we argue all the time on this channel. We don't believe in coincidence. So I would holla correlation between his chronic injury status and his mental makeup. I would definitely holler correlation on that.
I'm just saying. I agree, dude. Get well soon, Ben. Get well soon, man.
Yeah, I guess. Well, it must be nice. Now he'll definitely cry in a Ferrari. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, that's all he does.
All that money they gave him. Sheesh.
What a heist.